Hello again and welcome to Love Lingerie and part 3 of our project. You may recall that in part 2 I showed you how to attach your gusset lining to your fabric. In today's session and part 3 I'm going to show you how to attach the knicker elastic. So as you can see in front of me, I've got my fabric set out here and all joined together. I've got the gusset lining in place. So I've already pinned my knicker elastic. When you are pinning your knicker elastic to your fabric, you need to make sure that it is right sides together. The reason for that is a bit later on in the session. I'm going to show you how to flip this over so that it ends up looking something like that. But for now, it's pinned in place, right sides together, and I'm going to put it under the machine and away we go. And so as you can see, I've just placed my fabric and my elastic under the foot of the machine, and I've just placed the needle down. So when you're doing this, you're going to want to select a zigzag stitch for this part of the process. So the first step is to pin your elastic in place it under the machine and select your stitch, which is, again, as I said, is the zigzag stitch. So I'm now just going to start off slowly, and when you're doing this also, you're going to want to pull the elastic towards you if you prefer some gather. So I'm going to stretch it towards me, and then I'm going to grab it at the back as well and pull it in the opposite direction. So I've just got my machine set on slow for now, and I will speed it up shortly. And so I'd just like to say at this stage that when you are placing your elastic and your fabric under the foot, generally the rule of thumb is if you place the needle about 1/8 on the fabric, should be about the right place for your zigzag stitch. So I'm just going to continue on with that now a little bit faster so that we can get it moving. And you keep stretching it towards you and towards the back the whole way through the process. Sometimes, depending on how far you stretch the elastic, will determine how much gather. Not everybody likes to stretch the elastic. If you don't want a gathered look, you can just sew it on flat. But just at that point, having said that as well, if you overstretch the fabric, overstretch the elastic, then the elastic loses its elasticity over time and has less resistance. So I'm just going to continue on with that now, and I'll be right back with you. And so I'm nearing the end now. Okay, so that is one side of our fabric. One side of our elastic has been attached. Okay, so that's our elastic attached on one side, and as you can see, I've got a little bit of fabric that's just hanging the edge there, so I'm just going to trim that up, and I will trim that up all the way along just to finish that edge off. And so now that I've finished trimming that edge up and cutting back that overhang along there, what we're going to do now, the next step, is to turn that elastic over so that you've got the nice side facing towards you. So now that we're going to do that, I'm going to pin that in place, and just put in a few pins all the way along the side of the elastic just to hold it down. And so now that you've flipped your elastic over to the right side, we've now got selecting another zigzag stitch, which is a 3-step zigzag stitch. So what we're doing now is we're going to top stitch along the top here all the way along the rest of the outside of the knicker there. Again, you're going to be stretching the elastic towards you and stretching from the back. And again, I'm just going to start off on a slower speed just to get it in place. So I'm just going to turn the speed up on my machine now and just keep working my way through like that, stretching it towards you and stretching it towards the back. So I'm just going to continue on with that and I'll be right back. So we're just nearing the ends now of our top stitch. Making sure that you get that nice and stretched. Going all the way to the end. And just your reverse stitch just to give it a bit of security on the end there. And so that's our first round of attaching your knicker elastic. So you can see now that that has been top stitched. You can't see the zigzag stitch there because the cotton is the same colour as the fabric and the elastic. But that's what it's going to look like, the finished product. On one side of the leg opening you can see that there's some slight gather, so it looks like that on the right side and it looks like that on the wrong side. Once you have done one leg opening, you would then turn around and you would attach some more elastic the same way as I showed you before. Right sides facing, pinning that on, making sure that you've got both edges as close together as you possibly can, and just sewing in the same way that I've showed you with your zigzag stitch, and then flipping it over with your 3-step zigzag stitch. Once you have done both leg openings, then you would attach these two pieces together, making sure that they are aligned nicely. Once you have done that, you then just run a straight stitch along there and tidy that up with an overlocker. Once you have done that part and these are sewn together, then you are able to attach more elastic along the top. So that is how you attach your knicker elastic to your project. That is part 3 of Love Lingerie and your project. The next part will be part 4, which is where I show you how to just finish off your little finishing touches to the project. So that ends our session for today. So goodbye for today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment, and I'll see you next time for part 4.